Hi everybody, Kelvin here from London. I review vintage stereo equipment, sometimes new equipment. It's all about the sound for me. I'm just mad about sound and I love having lots of equipment. I've had tons of equipment and I like comparing it and figuring out what sounds best, you know. I also don't want to spend a lot of money because I think you can spend a ton of money unnecessarily in the hi-fi world. I have bought some things in the past that are expensive and they've been so disappointing, you know. Anyway, so that's why I want to talk about this, because it's a great thing and you'll get it for a good price. You know, if you make sure it's working, you won't go far wrong with this damn amplifier. Do you know what I mean? Unless you're, you know, unless you're into the world of Macintosh and Hagel and those sort of things. But okay, I'll quickly do the specifications, show you the front and the back, and then I'll do the sound for you. And I'll do that in detail, and you should find out exactly what this amp sounds like by the end of it. So, it's AU 317 from 1978, 50 watts a channel. It's not that big, but it's 50 watts a channel. One thing worth saying about this is it's got a real nice feel about it, yeah? It's just a nice bit of kit to handle. Metal, solid metal things, these nice switches. It's just kind of nice, you know. I mean, you know, if it didn't sound good, that wouldn't be any good at all. But it does. It is a sort of aesthetically good feel to it. And let's go through here. You know, speakers. Got two sets of speakers, bass treble balance, high filter. Direct, cutting out your tone controls. That's a win-win, yeah. You know, it is for me. I never use treble boost or bass boost. I never do. And if I think there's something wrong with the treble, I'm not getting enough, I'll try and fix it in a different way, like speaker positioning or cables or something like that. But to me, I will always keep them in the middle. I haven't deviated from that for 20 years because I think you mess up the whole sound stage generally. Loudness, microphone. You could plug a microphone in here. Two phonos, one with a subsonic filter. That's for your rumble. If you have an old deck that's really rumbling, you'll see the cone move because it's sort of the real super low level. So that subsonic filter is to cut that out. Okay, quick look at the back. Two sets of speakers. There's preamp, power amp separation here. I've took those jumpers out. There's little hooks, little sort of U-shaped bits of metal that link those, but I've been playing around with power amps and preamps, so those are out at the moment. Phono, it's got a good phono stage, yeah? You can plug a turntable. Phono's a turntable. So, your tuner, aux, tape, two sets of speakers. Okay. Now, what I will try and do here is just put into a bit of perspective, if I can, on the world of Sansui, because I'm a big fan of Sansui. Not every bit of Sansui is great, yeah? One way I would talk, and I'll tell you why, and I'll tell you what's hard about it, is the fact that all the amplifiers from 1969 up to 1980, they all have this prefix of AU, whatever it is, you know, AU 101, AU 4900, AU 719. They all use AU. So you can't tell what range you're looking at by looking at the number. And there's like been 7 ranges or something like this, 5 ranges, I don't know. So it's quite confusing. One way of doing it, if you're looking for a Sansui, and Sansui are really probably, I would say, the best of the Japanese 70s vintage sound, you know. To me they are, and I you know, spend a lot of time on it. If you look at, say, if it's pre-1975, like anywhere between 71 and 75, that's the period where almost everything is good. And that includes receivers, yeah? Receivers won't be AU, there'll be all kinds of different things. But if you see something you like, go on Google. Hi-Fi Engine is a great one. And if you find that it's 1972, 3, 4, 5, 1, 70 even, you're in a period of Sansui where almost everything sounded good. More or less all of that was good. It's actually about the man that ran Sansui. He died in something like 74, something like this. And things went downhill. I think this is true. This one is from 1978, yeah? So as time goes on, the sort of what are good ones become rarer. This is a good one, 317. I've got the 719. It is a good thing, but it just doesn't have the dead good balance. This just has the right balance of everything, as far as I can tell. So, okay, that's probably all I'll do on that, because it's just could become a mountain of different code numbers. But, you know, pre-75, you're fine. Anything Sansui should be good sounding. After that, you've got to watch it, you know. And then we get up to 1980 plus, you know, some of it just isn't that good at all. I'll tell you one thing. If you look up Sansui AU 4400, this is not the best Sansui. And that range actually came out in 1976. But if you look at that and you look at the faceplate of it, that whole range, of which there are many numbers, it's not quite so good. They started to cheapen things using, you know, less good components, and it became erratic and patchy. Anyway, I go back to this. This is good. What does it sound like? Okay, and why do I... Thing is, I play around with all these amps all the time. I'm swapping things, and quite often whatever I'm testing, I think, oh, I'll plug this Sansui in just to see how that sounds. It always delivers, you know what I mean? It always delivers a full, you know, I'll do the sound properly for you. The bass is good. The bass is big, the bass is tight, and the bass is kind of forward-ish, you would say, which I like, you know. I don't like, sometimes in modern amps, as you know, certainly into the 90s, the bass is getting a bit backwards, yeah, just becoming a bit sort of like something I'm hearing that's over there. And this gives you good bass. Needs to be tight. If it's going to give you big forward bass, it's got to be pretty tight and good, you know. You don't want big blurry bass, you know, which certain less good amplifiers will give you. We got nice, big, punchy, you get the rhythms, you know, you can follow the bass. And even though you're getting this bass, you still have a whole load of space in the mid-range, and the treble is beautiful. The treble is really nice. So you're getting nice big pumping bass, excellent mid-range vocals, delicacy, snare drums sound exactly like snare drums, vocals sound pretty well dead on, you know, for an amp that costs 100, 150 pounds, 150, $200. I should have said that earlier. And it's got this sort of thing of, I call it, the air is alive, yeah? So there's all this space in the mid-range, and just the air in between everything is still, you know, it's got sort of tiny bits of sound in it. Now, there are, as amps get more modern and sort of finer in detail and more accurate, they often lose that sort of life and sound, that life and the air being alive, and the air turns into black velvet with like no links, no space. It's not in a room. It's not in this room, and it's not in the room in the studio. It's just instruments in places. Whereas this kind of fills in all those gaps, yeah? And things like female harmonies, you know, when you get female backing singers, they'll just be lovely. They'll be, you know, be singing like angels, and, you know, seriously. So to me, this is sort of it's sort of like the best of vintage, right? In a way, because it's not expensive, it's not super old, and it's you get into 1978, it's sort of making things that somehow last a bit better. So things like this are normally working fine, you know. Things from 1971, you know, that's getting dodgy, and you know, then you're into the world of, you know, recapping and spending money on things. And you know, personally, I don't want to spend £900, even though on a vintage amp, which may sound fantastic, but if it's, you know, 50 years old, I just don't want to spend £1,000, because I know I'll be spending more in not too much of a time, because it's that old. So anyway, in a way, I'm saying this is kind of, it's a great amp. I always go back to it. I think it would deliver for anyone, any sound, reggae, jazz. It's explosive, yeah. It's got the dynamic headroom, which is the good thing about a lot of vintage amplifiers, that they can do explosiveness, where a lot of later amps, they kind of choke that explosiveness. So it's good at that. You can get it for a cheap price. You know, you might call it under the radar. You could say it's under the radar, but particularly this one, the 317. This is really, I'm saying this one, yeah. The 217 I think is good, and you know, you can get the 717. You'll start spending, people will start wanting, like, you know, £500-600, $600, whereas this, you'll get it for a, you know, a reasonable price, and it will really deliver. And you've got the pre-power thing at the back. So to me, this is a great bargain, and I just go back to this amp again and again, and it never disappoints me. And whatever I play, it's just like, oh, this is good. And I'm comparing it sometimes to, you know, much more expensive bits of kit, but there's just a real nice, relaxing presentation that this gives. The bass is big, powerful, in the room, the space is there, you're never wanting. A lot of amps just leave you wanting, just, you know, and if there's that sense of wanting, they're not quite delivering for you. I don't find it relaxing, you know. So, you know, this is a sort of what you might call an X factor, in that, you know, things can be really accurate at first, and you think, oh, this is really detailed, but if it doesn't really give you all full spectrum and there's bits missing, then personally, I'm sort of like, I'm not enjoying it, you know. But this amp, yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it, and it's a bargain. Okay, that's it. Please like and subscribe. Oh, sorry. I'm going to open this amp up. And look inside, because I'm going to ask the people if there's any technical people, because there's a similarity in here, or just some components similar to the NAD 3020, and I just want to maybe get some feedback. I should turn this off. 1 second. I just bring the camera in. Okay, let's have a quick look at this. So there you have it, you know, dedicated amplifier. The transformer is fairly big, you know, that's always a good sign. I guess these are called, are these output capacitors? You tell me. Now, these 4 blue things here, I see these, and I haven't actually checked the numbers on the side, but I see those and believe in my NAD 3020. So I'm wondering if that has a significant impact on the sound, because the 3020 makes a lovely sound. So okay, that's it. Anyone got that technical info, please let me know. Okay, bye now.